right. So today I have the real pleasure and honor of meeting with CIndy Edison. Thank you so much for coming, CIndy. I am super thrilled to have you here today.
Oh, thanks for having us, Viv. We're so thrilled to be with you in Sweden. Wow, it's exciting.
Yeah, and likewise for me as well with you in Atlanta.
Okay.
CIndy, can you please tell me a little bit about you? Who are you?
You mean how we pertain to Joseph? That's really the most important. That's really
Yeah,
the most
yeah.
interesting part.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph came to me, if you want to call it that, while I was writing a newspaper article or a magazine article. I had been in advertising for about 35 years on the creative side, and I sat down to write an article. And as I was sitting there contemplating a headline, my fingers just started moving on the laptop. And it said, "Dear CIndy," and many pages later, I was very thrilled, confused, excited, and very intrigued by that. And that's where it started, and it developed from there. That was in early 2009. I was getting inklings of movement from 2003. That's when it really started for me. And as we progressed talking, every conversation for me started with, "Who are you? Who are you? Who are you?" Of course.
Wow.
And the response was always, "We are you, we are you." Well, of course, I didn't know what that meant then, but I'd always been attracted to channelers, always, and psychics, and I always thought it was very cool, but never imagined that I would ever do it. It wasn't anything that I set out to do intentionally, not from my human side anyway. So in 2016, I was prodded by them, nudged, as some say, inspired to follow and look up Abraham Hicks and Esther.
Yeah.
And I had no idea who they were, but I had to, I was listening actually to Hay House Radio every day at work. I was listening, and I kept seeing Esther's ad for their show on Hay House every day, and I couldn't get away from it. Finally, I clicked on it and I said, okay, I'm watching. And as soon as I started hearing, I knew there was something there. It was very familiar, and I just soaked it up like a sponge for a couple of years. And then they said to me in one of my writings, I was writing with them every day then, automatic writing, I guess it is, conversational for me. And they said, "We are Abraham." And I laughed and I said, that's ridiculous. So they started explaining to me, and over the course of time, lots of things happened. And they explained to me that they told me that because they were exempling for us the expansion of consciousness, which included all of the messages. Everything that we can experience must expand. And so as the consciousness that is Abraham and Seth, and many others, expands, the teachings expand too, in order to further the message and further the evolution of humanity. So that's how it all started for me, and here we are.
Wow, amazing. I love Abraham Hicks and Esther. I've been
Beautiful.
listening many years to her inspiring messages,
Yeah.
law of attraction and become the change you wish to see.
Yeah.
Now, when you first encountered Joseph, you're obviously at your work and writing an article. Have you had any sort of voices in your head, or is it purely mainly through writing, automatic writing, that you get your messages, or is there any other ways as well?
Well, before the writing started, excuse me, as I was saying, in 2003, I went through a crash, what some people refer to as a dark night of the soul. We don't refer to it that way. The soul is never dark, but it was a human aspect crash, and everything changed in that moment. And they started leading me at that point. And during that period of a few years, they led me through Christianity. I was raised a Catholic, which meant I was raised to fear God. And so I tried to stay under the radar as much as I could in that. And then they took me through the Bible, the Christianity, for 3 years, almost to the day. And during that time, I was very intrigued by it too, because I'd never read it. But during that time, I read it several times. And during that process of my own evolution into this work, I heard the Audible Voice 5 times. It was beautiful. And I assume now that I remember that I can go back and look at it now, that it was in preparation for this to make me somewhat comfortable or something. But it is, I'm sure some of your audience has heard it themselves, if not you. You hear it and there's no mistaking it, as if it is not only appears as if it's coming from the outside of you, but you can feel it in your vibration. You can feel it in your body. You know that it's truth. So I heard the audible voice. And so now it turned from, I received blocks of thought. I translate vibration, which is really the universal language is vibration. So we are all translating vibration all the time, every day, through our 5 physical senses. And the next step for us is to develop our, what we refer to as the 6th sense, which is our vibrational acuity. So yes, there's all types, we all hear differently. Some people see visions. I see things sometimes. It's rare. Sometimes I will ask them if they're explaining something to me. I will ask them for clarity to give me a word, because I can't translate the vibration that I'm getting. And they'll do that. They give me a word and then I hear a word, but it's not audible anymore. It's all vibrational now after all this time. It should be.
Wow, that's so cool.
Oh, you mean if I'm trying to translate a word and they give me, they always give me a word that I know. Always.
Right.
Sometimes it's a word that I have heard before. Most of the time, it's not one that I would normally use. So I stop immediately and I go to my dictionary and I look it up, and I always end up laughing because they're always spot on and they just wait for me to come back.
That's
So it's
so
fun.
cool.
Yeah,
That's
it
fun.
is.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, it's a
amazing.
blended, it's a
Uh-huh.
blended vibration, and everybody has this. Everybody, we are not special. We are just exempling our next step of the human evolution, which is the recognition of and the blending of our soul vibration, which is the largest part of our physical vibration, and our physicalness. Up until this point, coming through the 3rd dimension, our dominant creative focus has been out of alignment, which we would call out of alignment with our soul, which is the contrast. And so we are, we're kind of creating and focused on all the contrast of the 3rd dimension, not really recognizing the part of us, the vibration of us that is the biggest part of us, and it is the vibration of who we really are. So that's what we're moving into. So it's a blending of the soul vibration, the collective us, the collective me, the collective you. Our souls are unique. And the blending of that vibration with the blending of the aspect who is us as the physical representative of that, of our soul.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? And
Yeah, it's really cool.
when we, yes, so cool. And when you talk about contrast, we all know the contrast in the 3rd dimension. How will we experience contrast in the 5th dimension?
There is no contrast in the 5th dimension. The
That's right.
contrast that is in the 3rd dimension is the contrasting timelines, the vibrational timelines that make up the dimension, and that's how we evolve through the 3rd dimension. We actually walk through it. I see us as walking through different experiences as we evolve, as we become more aware of who we really are. The goal, the next goal, because we are eternal, so there's no ending to our evolution, is the 4th dimension, which we refer to as the bridge. And that is where we consciously shift our physical vibration from being dominant in the contrasting vibration of creative, that we create dominantly from the contrast by way of our beliefs, our focus. We're paying too much attention sometimes to what's going on in the outside world. And when we consciously choose to shift our dominant vibration to that of our soul, we become the habitual, natural attractors of love instead of fear, or as we say, of in alignment choosing as opposed to out of alignment choosing. So as we walk into the 4th dimension, we say it's all downhill from there as we slide into the 5th dimension where there is no fear. Because as you create more and more momentum through our focus, as you create more and more momentum moving toward you're moving more into the vibration of the soul, which is pure love. We are creating momentum through your focus. And as you focus, the momentum moves faster and faster. And soon it becomes your dominant creative force. And it becomes who you really are in the physical body. And that's when we step into the fifth dimension. We won't do it in this body. It's not going to be in this lifetime. We can experience the new earth in its non-physical form now vibrationally. It is there vibrationally, always has been. And it is just a different level of consciousness. It's a different level of awareness for our aspect. Our soul is sitting there now waiting for us. And our new aspect, who will live on the new earth, is sitting there too, in its form that is a manifestation of that vibration already. So we're moving into, it's the melding together. It's the evolution out of the third dimension. We choose our way out consciously, and we walk into the new us, new aspect of us that we're co-creating with our soul. Yeah, beautiful. It's beautiful.
Oh, I love it. And how long will it take before human beings can experience the real life in the fifth dimension? How many years are we talking about?
There's no, you can't put a time on it, because time doesn't exist there. So as soon as you try to apply a third dimensional element into a fifth dimensional movement, you step out of alignment with it. There's no time outside of the third dimension. It's only, that's for the time-space reality for this current human aspect. But our eternal path is event-driven. It is event-driven, and the events are unique to each of us, individual. The events are events of understanding more of who we really are. And as we move more and more into that vibration, into that space, if you will, we expand our vibration, so we are no longer a vibrational match to the third dimension, and we move on. This is the evolution. This is not, this is not the first time we have experienced a shift in consciousness. This is the first time for us that we have experienced this shift in consciousness, where we are moving from, as most people say, fear to love. We say we're moving from a contrasting vibrational realm where there is contrast to choose from, into a space where there is no contrast. There's only love. We still expand. We never stop expanding, but we create through our focus, which is what most of what we teach, is the shift in our perspective from the contrast to the love. Have to change our perspective, or you can't get it. It's a complete change in how we do things. And it's all individually based. Everybody will get there ultimately, but you can't, there's no timing. Everybody's a choice. It's a choice of everybody. So the people, for example, in what's going on, the chaos that has been created on our world over, the momentum has been building for decades and eons of time, ever since we've been here, because it's contrast. So a lot of people choose the contrast because it's easy, it's easy, and they're comfortable, even though they know they're choosing fear. Some do, some don't, some by default. They say, well, at least I know what to expect, instead of choosing something else. It really is. We say it is as simple as a choice in every moment, just not very easy, perhaps, because it's not what we're used to, which is why we say, allow your soul to guide you. We've not done this before. We don't know what it's like to live without fear. And so that's what we're choosing. Yeah.
What a blessing to have no fear. Fear is not a pleasant feeling.
Can you imagine? Yeah. Yeah.
It's the worst feeling in the world, having a fear.
Yeah, it is. And the thing is that we're so used to it, it's taught to us. I mean, throughout all of our lifetimes through the third dimension, we have evolved through every vibrational timeline, and they are unlimited. And as we've been moving through the third dimension, we pick up beliefs and understandings and teachings, religious teachings from our parents, from our schools, whoever. And all of those teachings are in alignment with the contrast. But this is how we evolve out, when we begin to choose for ourselves. And we begin to realize that the beliefs that we have picked up this time around, or whatever, my mother came with an immigrant family from Italy back in the 20s. Her parents, very strict Catholics, very, very strict Catholics. Those beliefs, of course, passed on from their parents and their parents and their parents onto my mother, who passed them on to us. And I said to her one time many years ago, I said, why do you believe that? And she said, because the priest told us to. That was her foundation for her belief. So this is an example of how we pick up beliefs, and we tend to believe them because of the authority figure who handed it to us. And then we begin to create our own reality based on those beliefs. And those beliefs are out of alignment. You know, the beliefs we picked up in the contrast stay with us within, and they remain in our physical vibration. And when we leave here, when we, as Esther says, when we croak, when you kick off, you know, you leave, what you take with you is the love that you have experienced. You take with you everything that is in vibrational agreement with where you're going, you know, back to your soul, which is the expanded version of you. But the beliefs and the vibration that we have accumulated and accommodated and created from all of those lifetimes remains where there is vibrational agreement for that, what I call this blob of vibration that's in vibrational agreement with the contrast. Then the soul refocuses, we come back here, soul says, let's go back and expand our physical aspect more. We pick up that vibration where we left it, but we have expanded by way of our soul. So it's a new journey begins for the physical aspect. And that's how we move through, and we ultimately choose our own beliefs. So in order to move into the fourth dimension is the great start. And in order to move into the fifth dimension, we must shift our perspective and create a new belief system that is based on the vibration of where we're going. It's based on a universal truth. So we can be in vibrational agreement with the consciousness where we are going. You can't carry your fearful beliefs. We don't ever advocate, I mean, there's no judgment at all, but we don't suggest ever to go back and try to fix anything, because everything is perfect. Everything that we have experienced individually, everything, even though it, you know, well, it was an abusive situation, or this person did this to me, it doesn't really matter, because it's all in vibrational agreement with the vibrations that created it. And vibrational agreement is a universal truth. So instead of us looking back and saying, I wish that never happened, we say, I understand now, because understanding breeds expansion. I understand the creative process now. And I understand that I was attracting this because I was out of alignment. And it's the perfect match. It's the perfect indication of where we are vibrationally, because we create vibrationally in its non-physical form first, whatever it is, emotions, experiences that make up our physical reality.
And by saying I understand as well, you take responsibility, so you are not a victim.
Yes.
Which I think we should talk about as well.
Yes, self-responsibility. We are all about self-responsibility, because it has to be that way, because there is no one who is responsible for your vibration but you. No one can do anything to your vibration or manipulate your vibration unless you allow them to and invite them to. This is what we mean by when we say people are creating by default. You know, and the out of alignment beliefs are by default, because you don't really understand what you're doing. But because everything is created vibrationally, you are the creator, you are the chooser, you are the experiencer of everything in your life, and you are unique vibrationally too. You know, we tell you that your fingerprints are a manifestation, a physical manifestation of your vibration. This is how unique you are. And so when you understand vibration, you are responsible not only for your thoughts and for your creative ability and your creative power. We are so powerful. You are responsible for everything that you live, everything that you experience. And which is the, you know, the good news too, because you are the chooser of everything. No one's choosing for you. So total self-responsibility, because it's foundationed in vibration. Total. Yeah.
And if you want to raise your vibration, you have to focus on how do you want to feel and what can you do to get there.
Yeah, it's a focus on love. You know, we and people say, well, what does that mean? What does that mean? Well, yeah, it's hard. I mean, I struggled with it in the beginning because I said to Joseph, you want me to feel love, but I don't believe I've ever felt it before the way you mean it. And a lot of us haven't, unfortunately. And they
Unconditional love,
said,
right?
yes, yes. And they said, what do you, if you had to conjure it, what do you think it would feel like? Which was difficult for me too. And then I said, show me. And I was covered in overwhelming vibration, their vibration of love. And I sat there, I can feel it right now. I sat there, just tears streaming out of my eyes because it's indescribable. But, you know, so I said to them after I experienced that, and, you know, it's an amazing, amazing feeling. I said, well, how do we do that? How do we teach that? You can't teach that. You know, everybody has the ability to feel that through the connection with their own soul. But how do we teach it? And they said the easiest way to start developing the feeling, the physical feeling of it. It's not only emotional, it is a physical feeling, is to recall something that brought you overwhelming joy. They said, like, now I've never had children, but they said someone who has had a child, you know, the first time you hand the baby, you know, I can only imagine what that feels like. And that, when I say that to people, I see them change. You know, I see them just melt with love.
Melt. I
And
was
I say,
gonna say
that's it.
melt, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the feeling, you know. It's the focusing on the feeling, something to bring that forward so you have a frame of reference to relate it to. And then you can, you know, we are big advocates for getting in touch with your own soul. And people say, how do I communicate? How do I communicate? Well, you have to be a vibrational match to the soul. The soul doesn't come down or over to the third dimension. You know, that's why we have the ego, loving ego aspect. Thank God for that. You have to raise your vibration to be a match to the soul's vibration so you can hear what's going on up there, right? And the way you do that is by releasing resistance, which is by focusing on love. Because when you are immersed in that kind of feeling of love, there is, of course, no resistance, because there's nothing out of alignment in the space of alignment, right? So when you are in alignment with your soul, we mean you are vibrationally connected. You are blended 100%, like we are right now. You are witnessing this blending right now of us. And I am, as I'm talking to you, I am feeling that all over, like my whole body is just vibrating right now, which tells me, which is indication to me that they are leading this. You know, that's, but there's no trance. There's no, you don't have to be afraid of anything. It is the aspect of you that is you. It's the collective you, and there are many aspects of us. We are just one, you know.
I was just gonna say we are one, right?
Yes.
One, all
yes.
intertwined and interlinked.
Yes, vibrationally connected. Yes.
How does that work then if someone has a really low vibration and you are a high vibration? How does that sort of show up in real life?
Do you,
in 3D?
Well, what do you mean by, you mean like if you're in a relationship with someone like that, or if you're bumping into somebody on the street?
Yeah, I'm thinking like we have some people in our lives that we attract that are on a lower vibration to evolve or to teach and to grow and expand. But why have we had the need to have a lower vibration if it's totally out of alignment with who we are at our match? Because you won't always interact with people on exact the same vibration in your life. There will be people at a lower or higher, or
yeah, that's a big answer. So we'll tell you like this. First of all, you can never experience a vibration that you are not a match to. So when we are attracting, we are still in the third dimension. I mean, just because, for example, one example, just because I have this connection over, it's been developed over years through my focus with Joseph. I have this connection with them doesn't mean that I'm not in contact every single day with lower vibrations, because we live here. This is how we are. But it is through our focus that we raise our vibration. So on command, you can raise your vibration, right? So the people that are attracted to us, the people that we teach, that, Joseph, that we teach are teachers. They are teachers of a higher understand, of a more expanded understanding. It doesn't mean they're better or worse. They just have chosen a path. And they have, they're developing, they're focused on their own development. And so they understand who they are at a different level. I don't like that word, at a different perspective. Thank you. A different perspective than most people and anybody. We all do it in our own way. There's no judgment anywhere. But the reason, interesting question, the reason that we need to experience, I think you said, the lower vibrations, why don't we, we're a high vibration to begin with. Why do we even bother with this, is what you're saying, right? Why do we even want to experience the fear, right? So the reason for that is because we are an aspect. New aspects of the soul are created to experience more of itself, and we are eternal. We never stop evolving. There's no end to anything. So there's just expansion, expansion, expansion. So as we move into the fourth dimension, me as CIndy, as this physical being, I am shifting, as you are, as many are, we are shifting our physical vibration to be more dominant in our soul's vibration, which changes everything for us, changes our physical makeup, changes our perspective, changes the way we create, changes our entire reality. And as we're walking toward that bridge and doing that, we are creating a new vibrational aspect of us that will meet us on the bridge. This is a tough concept sometimes to get, but the different aspects, every aspect has a different perspective, because every aspect is created from a different vibration. And when there's no more vibrational agreement, a new aspect is created to continue. So as we move, and when we move into the fifth dimension, we won't be this. We will have a body, but it won't be this body. It won't be a physical body. This body was created to be a vibrational match to the third dimension of contrast. We have an immune system to help us fight off disease, to help us fight off the contrast that is here and created by us in most cases. But we come fully equipped to handle those things. It's our own doing when we get out of alignment and our body gets sick or whatever. That's a whole nother discussion. But when we move to the fifth dimension, our physical body will reflect that consciousness. It will be a perfect manifestation of the vibrational agreement that is created by our soul to experience more of the physical aspect of itself. That makes sense?
Yes, it does. And I have so many questions now.
Yeah, I know. One begets another. I know. It's a lot of information.
Oh, yes. All right, let's start with this one. Physical makeup. What will that look in terms of, I suppose in 5D we won't attract disease whatsoever. There won't be any disease because we all love. So we won't have an immune system. And then with that, in terms of food and diet, would we have consumed more liquids? Would we have to eat?
That is an answer that is being created by the human collective. Now, if we are vibrational, our body doesn't, the nourishment is from the vibration. When you're in a high vibration, even here, when you're in a high vibration, you don't need as much food when you're in a low vibration. I don't know if that's going to make any sense to you.
Yes, it does.
Okay, yes. Yeah, you understand, because
yes.
Vibrational match Vibration, again, is at the bottom of everything. It's of everything. When you eat clean, as people say, when you eat foods that are natural foods, natural homegrown organic foods, real organic foods, they serve your body if your body is in alignment. If your body's out of alignment and you're trying to get it into alignment, a lot of people go through with this. Their body has a reaction to the organic foods because it is still out of alignment. And so it's a process of moving the body into alignment, a combined process of shifting not only your perspective, but shifting the way you eat too. Then that comes into it's, go ahead.
Yes, that happened to me in my spiritual awakening. That I went from one day to having consumed meat to not eating meat, and cut out sugar altogether. And it was like my body was saying to me, now it's time for you to eat less. Only 2 meals a day. That's sufficient for me.
Yeah, I did the same thing. Yeah.
And I drink lots and lots of water.
Me
And
too.
I just
yeah.
And that all changed. Like it was almost like knock, knock on the door. We're taking this away from you now. And I know Dolores Cannon talked about this, about sodas and stuff, that one day they were just removed altogether from her life as well. But it's almost like your higher self is guiding you to what you should eat. Your body is telling you when to
what
eat
it wants.
and what. Exactly.
Yeah. Without it, it was such a subtle change for me, because I'm a cookie freak. I love cookies. And I used, I didn't really, growing up, I never paid much attention to what I ate. Never was like that. And people used to say, you need to eat clean, Cindy, you need to. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. But it was a slow process. It didn't feel like a conscious choice to me, but it turns out it was. So I haven't eaten meat, and I love meat, but it's so weird because it just doesn't appeal to me anymore. It's not like I said, I'm not going to eat it because it's not healthy, because I think it is healthy. It just doesn't appeal to me anymore. So I don't.
Likewise.
It was the weirdest thing. And now I'm eating salmon like almost every day. Who'd have thought? I'm so not a fish eater, but I'm eating it every day. Yeah. Yeah. It's so weird. It just happens so subtly. Yeah. And it's beautiful because they know us too well. Joseph always says, we know you too well. We know if we say, and they, of course, your soul would never say, don't do that or don't do that. Would never, because it's our choice. It's always our choice. There is no judgment there, which is a hard perspective to shift for us.
So lovely though, when you let go of judgment, it just frees your own energy up.
Yeah, there's no judgment. But we don't know. That's a fear that we don't, it's hard because we are judged all the time. We are judged by everybody. Everybody judges everybody because that's the nature of the out of alignment vibration. It must produce out of alignment experiences.
And when you're not, when you stop judging people, I stop judging people, trying to not judge, be very aware. Because I understand that by judging others, I indirectly judge myself as well, which won't help my vibration to raise my vibration. And I think once you practice letting go of judgment, it is so toxic to be around people.
It is
so drained.
Yeah, it is. Let us say something about letting go. We want to give you our perspective of that too, the letting go, because we've been hearing for years, just let go of it, let go. When you go into a meditation, let go of everything. People go, I don't even know what that means. It was really hard for me, maybe I'm just an anomaly. I don't know. I never understood what letting go means.
It's that surrender as well. Letting go
is a surrender. Yes.
Yeah, it
Joseph,
is hard.
Joseph said, I said, tell me, what does that mean? Because I know it feels good and I really want to do it, but I don't know what it means. And Joseph said, it is shifting your perspective to understanding. It's understanding that really is the key for our teaching anyway, the key to understanding what letting go means. And it is the letting go of a vibration that doesn't serve you anymore. It's the evolution beyond. which is what we're doing. We're moving beyond the third dimension. We're not trying to change the third dimension. We're not saying we don't want you anymore. The third dimension was a wonderful experience for this aspect who has come through all these experiences and learned and evolved and expanded through everything that we've taught. It has brought us here. It's been a wonderful experience. If you look at it from the eternal perspective, you know, and so the letting go is really moving. It's like moving to a new neighborhood. You know, we're not letting, we love our old house. There were a lot of great memories there, but now we want something different. We've evolved to, we're moving from the mountains to the beach, or from the beach to an island. We're moving to a different experience. It doesn't mean that that was bad. It was wonderful the way it was. And it is an acceptance of the vibrational agreement that we had the opportunity to choose from. That was our whole point of being here, is to experience this individual aspect's ability to choose.
Learn, grow, evolve.
Yeah. Evolve. Yeah. Into more of who we are. And those that follow behind us. Yeah.
And I love the metaphor of moving to a new neighborhood, or just like shutting one door, open a new door, and welcoming what I want to have more of in my life now. Just focus on that.
Exactly.
Love.
Yes.
I welcome to feel this good, and I welcome to have these experiences. And
yeah. I mean, when you think about it, you're really saying, like Maya Angelou said, when you know better, you do better. When you know more, you do better, you know? So now we say, you know, this third dimension, instead of fighting and resisting and doing all that stuff, we don't have to do that anymore. All we have to do is choose something else. And it changes your whole perspective. You don't have to choose that, you know, and then you hear the yeah, but there's no yeah, but there's no fixing anything. You don't fix a relationship. You move into a space where both are now in alignment. You know, so many people, there's so many old paradigm teachings, like, you know, that, or statements that people just believe. Like every marriage is very hard. Marriage is hard. Relationships are difficult, and nothing is perfect. No one is perfect. They're all out of alignment. And when you create something, when you create a relationship from that out of alignment position, of course, you're going to experience it in an out of alignment way. It will be an experience that is out of alignment for both people, because both people are out of alignment and they are accepting a belief that's not who they really are. You know, when two people who are in alignment come together, the relationship is indescribable, because there's no limits, there's no resistance, there's no control, there's no, you can't, there's no, you know, there's only support and expansion and love. There's love for each other. But that comes from love for yourself first, because you can only love somebody else as much as you love yourself, which is evident. You know, people, their self-love is tough in this contrast. It's tough when you grow up being told you're unworthy, or your parents are fighting all the time, or whatever, or the situation that you're in is not good. I mean, we all have those, because everybody is out of alignment. We've always been out of alignment, you know? So it's the understanding of that moves you forward, and not judging or chastising anybody else, because everybody's on their own unique path. It's just making your own choices and moving forward.
And I love that Abraham says as well in Esther that one day at a time.
Yes. Moment by moment choosing. That's how you shift. Moment by moment choosing. And people say, well, what about my job? I have to be to work at 9 o'clock, you know? And we say, well, we have responsibilities, but that because we live here, but that doesn't mean that you can't be in alignment and do your job from the place of alignment, you know? And when people do that, most likely, in a lot of cases, they will end up leaving that job and moving to a new position somewhere else that's more in alignment with who they are. And that's another thing we'd like to say, is that as you evolve and as you expand your own vibration, accept and take on the nudges and move with the inspiration that is moving you, move with your evolution, allow the energies to move you. And if that means leaving a job and moving into a new position that is more in alignment with who you are, do it. We are eternal. There is not one job on this planet for every person. You can do anything you want, anything, anything, because
Love
it's all
that.
vibrational and you create it all. Yeah, you create it all.
Yeah. And being out of alignment is so uncomfortable and sticky, and it's like you're having a shoe that is too small, doesn't fit.
That's right.
Why would
Exactly.
you put on
Yeah,
a too small shoe every day and walk around?
that's exactly right. Exactly right. Go back there. That's a great analogy. Go back and try to fit into a skirt that you wore when you were 5. It doesn't fit anymore. You might keep it from, because you loved it as a little girl, you might keep it, but you're not going to wear it anymore. You'll create a new one maybe out of the same material that fits now and more in alignment with your,
Hopefully.
Yeah. So lots of stuff like that. Just, it's the moment by moment creator that we are. And to recognize that is what really shifts your experience, is to recognize who you really are as the creator. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of courage. How do you see courage? What is courage? Where does courage come from?
Well, that courage, how we would define it, is who you really are. It is the vibrational aspect of your soul, which is who you really are. We're always our soul's vibration, always. Sometimes we're this, you know. So that courage, what you refer to as courage, is knowing. It's the knowing of who we really are, because there's no need for courage there, because there's knowing. But
Yeah.
if we were going to translate it, we'd know what you mean. How do you stand up to say, okay, I've never done this before, how do I do it, and I'm going to step forward and put a toe in there, and see what it feels like, because there's a lot of resistance to this next move. We don't know what we're doing, which is why you have to allow your soul to guide you, and that takes trust and understanding. It takes trust and relaxing and expanding into that vibration. I know it sounds like, people say, how you do that? Well, focus on love. You have to focus on love, and you have to ask for guidance and trust and know that is there. We are surrounded by help from our non-physical buddies all the time, including, our loving ego, who comes with us to create balance here in the earth plane. The soul communicates with us emotionally through positive emotion, love and abundance and peace and joy and excitement and passion. When we experience those emotions, we know that we are in alignment. That is our soul saying, keep going, you're on track. But we, as the human aspect who has complete free will and choice, we make choices that are out of alignment. Well, we wouldn't really know if we're out of alignment if we didn't have our ego aspect creating the balance. Soul doesn't give us anything negative out of alignment. So the ego steps forward and says, this is the evolved version, because anyway, we'll get into that. Anyway, so the ego steps forward and says, I will go with you and I will help you navigate the terrain of the contrast. And when you, CIndy, are choosing something that's out of alignment, when you are choosing to focus on a thought that's out of alignment, you are initially creating momentum, bringing more thoughts of that same vibration to you, and you're creating momentum toward an out of alignment experience. I, the ego, will give you the emotion that goes with those thoughts that you are choosing. So you know right away that you're choosing out of alignment. Doesn't matter what the choice is. It's the emotion that the ego comes and provides the balance. The ego is our balance of the soul, an aspect of the soul. And if we pay attention to our negative thoughts, that is the ego saying, turn around, go back. This is a warning sign. You're out of alignment. You're out of alignment. So our perspective of the ego has relieved many, many, many thousands of people, because we are taught that the ego is this horrible creature, that's riding on our back with whispering in our ear that, it wants us to fail, and the ego made me do it, and that guy's got such a big ego, how horrible. No, that's ridiculous, because we are sovereign beings. The ego is our friend, and the ego gives us what the soul cannot, as an aspect of the soul in the third dimension. Soul gives us the loving emotion. The ego gives us the negative emotion that are in alignment. The soul gives us the emotions that are in alignment with its vibration. The ego gives us alignment with the vibrations of the emotions that are in alignment with the contrast. Or we'd have no way of knowing. We'd have no way of
No way
knowing.
of contrast.
Yes, we have to have because that's how, every universal aspect, every universal aspect, even the ones we are not aware of yet, we will be at some point, communicates vibrationally. So vibrationally, emotion is our first indication of our alignment. What are we aligned with? And when we are feeling the emotions of love and compassion and excitement and all those things, happiness, that's alignment, or what Esther calls, that's the vortex. That's all the stuff in the vortex feels really good, but when we are choosing, and we choose it unconsciously most of the time by default, because of all the time we've spent here. It's in our beliefs, it's in our vibration. And so now is the time to stand up and choose, and to choose love, and hang on to our ego. Our ego is helping us get through this. Our ego is saying, if you choose that, it's going to hurt. Basically, it's going to hurt. And if we don't pay attention to the ego's warnings of that negative emotion, not only will we continue to create and experience out of alignment experiences, situations, circumstances, jobs, relationships. Our reality will be out of alignment, because that's what we're creating from. Ultimately, it gets into our body, and our body reacts to our vibration. Of course, it's a manifestation of our vibration. So if you are loaded up with fear, you are experiencing illness, sickness, illness, pains, all this, because it affects us in every single way. So the best advice we can give everybody right now is to pay attention to your ego, give it a loving name, give it a loving name. I named mine Antonio. He's awesome. Loves me. Our egos love us. Yeah. Our egos love us. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a friend. Yeah.
If we understand now that the ego is there to promote negative emotions, then and the soul is the loving, so we have the contrast. So every time we have a negative thought, we just need to put it aside and say, that's the ego doing its job, but I am not my ego. My higher self.
Well, you are an aspect of your ego. The ego is an aspect of you and of your soul. It's a oneness. The ego is not promoting negative thoughts. The ego is saying, this is okay. So if I have a thought of love, your soul gives me that loving emotion. I can feel it. I can feel the emotion of love. When I choose a negative thought, if I say, oh my God, I'm judging somebody. If I say, that person has no right to do that, or whatever that is, that's not the ego promoting it. The ego is providing the negative emotion that goes with the thought that I'm choosing. It's saying, if you continue to look over there, this is what it's going to feel like. This is what it feels like. Don't do that. The ego, reel it back in. And so it's in the recognition, it's in the understanding of the emotion itself. So when you have a negative emotion, don't judge it. Say, because you're choosing it, you're choosing to focus on it or not. You can say, oh, now you have a new game with your ego. Oh, I get it. I get it. I don't have to choose that. And the ego says, no, throw it back. We have a whole, I'm about to record it again. I recorded it a while ago, but I'm going to redo it. A process we call down by the river. When Josef was first teaching me about the ego and its whole process, I'll give it to you really quick. They said, go into meditation. I said, explain. And they said, okay, go down, choose a river and go sit on the bank. So I did. And I'm sitting there and they said, look to your left. And I did. And my ego was sitting there. Antonio's sitting there holding a flower. And I looked to my right And my soul is sitting there, Joseph's sitting there holding a flower, and we're all sitting there and we're just enjoying. It was a beautiful day, beautiful. And Joseph said, okay, look at the river. So I looked up, and this is all in meditation. I looked up, and in the river, all of a sudden, there are these big red and white balls, and they're flying up in the air and they're flowing with the river. It was a beautiful sight all over the place. That's all I saw, with these red and white balls. And Joseph said, the red balls are out of alignment thought patterns. The white balls are in alignment thought patterns. Well, I was so amazed by what I was seeing. Joseph said, pick one. So I reached in and picked the red ball. It was the closest to me. It felt comfortable. It was beautiful. I picked it up and I went, oh my God, this is so pretty. And I put it down, and I felt a little nudge on my left-hand side. I didn't pay attention to him. I picked up another ball and I put it over here, and I feel another little nudge. And I picked up another red ball. And as I'm doing this, the scene in the river has turned to only red balls now, because that's where my focus is. So I'm picking up all these thought patterns, and now I'm starting to feel pain in my left-hand side. So I looked at Antonio and I said, what gives? What are you doing? And they said, this is what those thoughts are going to feel like if you continue to pick them, to choose them. They are out of alignment with who you really are, and they will cause you pain. Before they will cause you pain in your body, they will cause you to experience situations and circumstances that you don't like, because you're creating them by choosing them. So if I were you, and I would throw them back. So I did. As I'm loading them back in the river, less pain, less pain. I'm sitting up, I'm feeling good. Looked at Joseph, they said, choose again. Reached in, picked up a white ball that was now this luminescent ball of white light energy. And I immediately felt all this love, and it was overwhelming. I was covered in love and started smiling. And then I started collecting the white balls. And then all of a sudden, all I saw were the white balls. So the lesson from that for me was, what you focus on expands, because the universe is saying you're choosing it, choosing it, choosing it. And your ego is telling you, this is how this is going to feel if you, CIndy, keep picking it. I am responsible for my choices, not my ego. So this just telling me what the feeling that goes along with those choices is, and how I will experience it, just as the soul does with the love. It will take, it shifts your entire perspective. It takes a lot of pressure off of us, knowing that we have this ego is really our ally. It's not an enemy to us. It loves us.
Yeah, and you can train your brain as well, so you have positive thoughts. You can learn to become an optimist, so to speak, by an active choice.
Yes,
practicing,
actively choosing. Yes.
And building like a muscle. It's like training your brain to be positive thoughts.
Well, not only that, but as you're doing that, you are shifting simultaneously, you're shifting the balance in your own vibration. And you're also simultaneously creating experiences of these positive thoughts that feel good. But we go for the feeling. When you choose, we say, feel a thought before you choose to focus on it. You can watch the thoughts go by. You're going to be the observer, and they're not going to do anything to you until you say, oh, I want that one. That's the one I want to focus on. It's just like saying to somebody, don't think about a red ball. And everybody that just heard me say that has now a red ball in their vision.
Head. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the process of focus that brings to us, we call our focus the megaphone to the universe, calling out for the matching vibration to create the vibrational agreement for the experience. Yeah.
And visualize the feeling, how, the Esther and Abraham talks a lot about, visualize how you want to feel before you manifest whatever you wish to manifest. But set an intention to already be there, feel the feeling.
Yes. Yeah. We go for the feeling first. The visual, we have a visual process for meditators, and it doesn't matter. You don't have to lay down to meditate. If you're gardening or painting, it doesn't matter. But we create pathways. We like to create pathways too, because we all have a bunch of desires, right? So I pick a desire that I have, then I've been working on this pathway for a long time. I've been building the pathway to this manifestation. And every time I go into my meditation, I add more to the vision that I have, and I experience myself being there. And so I am there. I am there vibrationally. So it's the connection that we make between our non-physical self, because when we're in the meditation or when we're creating these pathways, we're creating them from the position of alignment, which means they are filled with love, and it is unlimited joy when you're there. So I go to my balcony at the beach. I have the whole condo. I have everything there. I'm driving down in the car. I know where I am, and I'm experiencing every leg of this trip. And walking in, holding the door, I am watching myself have this experience in its non-physical form. And of course, I'm feeling it as I'm doing it. Yeah, that's a great way to manifest too, is to create that's how we do it anyway. But you feel your way to your manifestation, really. It's beautiful.
So
Beautiful
exciting that you
it
can create
is.
whatever you want to, whatever you want, basically.
Whatever you
There's no
want.
limitations.
That's right. And because in alignment, all things are possible. All things.
And
It doesn't leave out anything.
no, and it's just to create the unconditional love for yourself first and become into alignment, and then start attracting. It will flow to you. It's just amazing. I love it. Now, will we have an ego in the 5D, or will the ego dissolve? Will you just have the heart?
The ego will, when I asked Joseph the same question, they said the ego will have a different job because it is evolving with us. Everything evolves. The aspect that comes to the third dimension with us. Now, some of us will be on the new earth before others. We'll be holding the doors open. It's open, open, open. And we'll be holding the doors open, welcoming people. And once the new earth is created in its physical form, which will be a physical manifestation of that vibration too, won't look like this earth. I've seen it in my meditations. You can see it too. Anybody can see it, and it's an amazing, you can't even imagine how beautiful it is. But the ego, that the aspect, just as there will be aspects of us that are here on those vibrational timelines because we're walking away, right? The ego aspect will be here too. So the ego is the aspect of the ego has a purpose, just like we have a purpose. And so the new aspect of the ego will go with us, and it will have a new purpose. Won't be a contrasting purpose.
That's right. Yeah.
But it will be a new purpose. And all of this is for us to discover. This place is not, we are co-creating it. We are co-creating our experience of it, on it, and with it, and as it.
And we have free will. So I suppose when everyone are connected to a higher frequency in a love vibration, we only create good things, loving things.
Yes.
No hunger, no starvation. Everyone have fresh
it's
water.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you cannot create either or. You can't create an in alignment experience from an out of alignment vibration, or vice versa, because there is no vibrational agreement between the in alignment and out of alignment vibrations. It's a total shift, which is why we have to shift our perspective about it. We can't apply the third dimensional elements to the fifth dimensional, process and expect it to work. It doesn't. I tell some of my clients that are business people, that are spiritual business people, they have clients, they have businesses or whatever. And they say, I don't understand why this isn't working. I don't understand why I'm not making money. And I said, well, I can tell you why, because you already created this modality and it's in the fifth dimension. And you're trying to apply third dimensional elements, third dimensional marketing tools, third dimensional. It's not like that. It's totally different. Totally. Everything, just like our message is in the fifth dimension, of course. And we do there's no marketing. There's nothing like that. It's vibrational. People are drawn to us by
to each other. Yeah.
Vibration. Yeah. It's vibrational attraction, because it's always a vibrational agreement then. It cannot attract something it's not, right? Yeah. That's why we attract the teachers. Yeah. Because they're of a higher vibration.
Yeah. And that is honesty, integrity, and pure love. No manipulation needed.
Well, no, because, well, remember too that, and people say that too, well, I shouldn't, how am I going to eat if I don't do this? Well, that's part of the trust too, because also found in the space of alignment is abundance. It's abundance of everything. It must support itself. You cannot be working from the place of alignment in lack. You can't be homeless and say I'm in alignment. There's no agreement there. It cannot be that way. It cannot be. There's something wrong. There's something out of alignment. So whatever, there are unlimited resources in the space of alignment. So it's not an intention there. The intention is expansion and evolution of love. How can that ever not support itself? It has to, and it does. It absolutely does, for everybody.
That's so lovely to hear. That's what we all want, everyone to thrive and blossom and be loved, be love, and have peace.
Yes,
peace.
Absolutely. Peace. Yeah. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's beautiful.
What a blessing. Is there anything else they like, Josef, or you like to add that we should know?
We would like to add that we stress, my word, not theirs, focusing on your own alignment, because it is so important now more than ever, to understand who you really are in this movement forward. That is what your expansion is about. And self-love, authentic self-love, is the love of the soul. It's the love of who you really are as an aspect of God, as an aspect of love, and trusting in your soul to guide you forward, choosing love in every. You don't know the way. I don't know the way. We don't tell you the way. We only tell you that is a pathway of discovery, and your soul knows the way, the guidance, and the best thing you can do is not only to focus on your own alignment, but also to example that for everybody else. Because when you are in alignment, you are exempling and emitting the vibration of pure positive love. And as Abraham says, one in alignment is more powerful than 1,000,000 who are not, because you are creating from the source in every moment. So focus on yourself, and others will follow you. Example love for others is the best thing you can do right now, and allow it to unfold. You have to allow it to unfold. You cannot enter the time element into it, and it's entering resistance into the process. You have to look at it from the eternal perspective that it will unfold, and the soul has the key.
Wow, amazing. Be an inspiration, be the change you wish to see.
Yes. Follow your own guidance, and others will follow with you, because your guidance is love. We say choose love in all resolution. Choose love in all resolution. It's right in front of us in every minute.
Gorgeous. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Viv. We appreciate it. Wonderful to see you.